Now that we've done some good cleanup work, let's start to work on a specific area. And here, we're going to focus in on the lips. So let's go ahead and zoom in on the lips. And then next, let's create a new layer. Press Shift-Command-N on a Mac, Shift-Control-N on Windows. We'll call this Lips-1. We'll press the S key to grab our clone stamp tool. We'll take the clone stamp blending to normal. Let's bring our opacity up pretty high, somewhere under 100, but not quite 100. And then we're just going to Option or Alt-click a good area of skin. I just want to bring over some of this skin tone because you notice there that it wasn't quite finished off. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring that down. And I'm going to try to reshape this just a little bit. So I'm trying to be careful with my brush stroke to be consistent because I want to change the overall shape there of this portion of the lipstick. Again, I just want this to be a little bit more perfect. Not a huge change, but before and after you can see it's adding a little bit more of a defined edge. I'm going to do the same thing in a couple other areas as well. Now if you use an even smaller brush, you can have even more precision, but it just gives this look like it's just perfect, right? We'll go over here to this side of the lip as well. Again, just changing that and then Option or Alt clicking just to get this to have this really nice defined edge type of a look there. All right, so far so good. Just make our way through this image, trying to add a consistency to that edge so that it looks the same throughout. And if ever we make a mistake, we can always undo it or go back, as I need to do here, and just kind of try to even out the little edge that we have there. And in this case, I'm just going to go back and forth across this. Press the E key for the eraser. Then I'm going to erase this back out. I brought down this area a little bit too much. Well, I think that's looking pretty nice. Much more refined edge on the lip. Here it is before and then after. And so in my case, what I did is I used the clone stamp tool. Press the S key to do so. And I just worked on the edges. And then you notice I made a couple little mistakes. So what I did was I pressed the E key for the eraser tool and I erased some of those mistakes. Next, over here, I've decided I'm going to bring this point down just a little bit more. Not quite so pointy. All right, precise little detail work, but it pays off. Next, I want to bring out some of the color and dimension in the lips. One great way to do this is click on the new layer icon or to press the shortcut, Shift-Command-N on a Mac, Shift-Control-N on Windows. We'll call this Lips-2. What we're going to do here is grab our brush tool. We're going to paint with black on a real low opacity, real soft edge brush with a blending mode on our layer of soft light. So we're going to do our burning and dodging technique on the lips. What we're going to do here is just seek to darken up this edge of the lip here. And you can see that there's certain areas which might need this a little bit more here. And this is going to help make the lips a little bit more full. We'll also add a highlight here in a minute. I'm going to go across the top edge. This will give it a little bit more of a defined edge there. Again, adding to this look we're trying to create. All right. Then we'll paint with white. So I'm going to go ahead and choose white here. I'm just going to paint across this highlight. Bring out the shininess of this highlight that we have here, also a little bit up top. Bring out that as well. And then just paint back and forth across that, bringing out some of the highlight. Next, I'll go to my filter pull-down menu. After I've completed that, I'm content with that, which I'm not just yet. Realize there's a little area over there I need to work on. And in my filter pull-down menu, I'm going to blur this out. But here, not dark enough over there. I need to darken that up, down over there. Okay, so go to Filter, we go to Blur and Gaussian Blur. This is just going to need a small little incremental blur here. Just smooths those brush strokes out just a touch. And it helps that blend together a little bit more. Click OK. Here you have it, before and then after. Really changing the shape of the lips there. Might need a little more blur on that. Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Looks like it's just a little bit too strong, so I'm going to apply even more blur on those lips. And then there we can see, again, just adding that dimension. And then finally, lower the opacity until you see just the right amount of contour. Zoom out a little bit, and you want to see nice little shape there that you brought out in the lips. Great. All right, well, next step, we want to change the color of the lips a little bit. So to do so, we're going to go ahead and click on the adjustment layer icon, Curves. Here we go. We're going to make a curves adjustment. Doesn't really matter what you do first. You want to invert your mask, though. Go to Masks, and choose invert. The reason why it doesn't matter is what we need to do is make sure this curve is just affecting the lips. One way to do that is to use color range. Color range is great. You can click on the icon here, or you can click in the image. And when you click in that, what we're looking to do is to make a selection of the lips. So I'll go ahead and target that. And currently what's happening is it's not allowing me to select the image. So I'm going to go ahead and deselect that. Invert the mask again. I made a mistake here. Because the mask was black, it couldn't see through it to select the lips. Now go to color range. And now go ahead and click on that area. And that's probably a good mistake to make in this training title because you'll make that mistake at some point. I know I make it all the time, as you saw here, and you always wonder, what am I doing wrong? What's going on? It was just that I got ahead of myself. I inverted the mask ahead of time. I shouldn't have done that. But again, we self-corrected, and now we're able to select the lips, holding on the Shift key. And what we can do with this is go ahead and increase the fuzziness. It's going to get more of the selection in the background, or decrease it. And you can shift, click, and drag over this area just to try to get a decent selection of lips. Again, we're not going for perfection here, but we're going for a pretty good start, something that we can use and then modify even more. So far, so good. We have this little selection of the lips. We're making our way through this area. Just want to get some of the darker tones in the lips. As I do that, you can see that it's picking up or it's snagging a few of the areas in the background. You can see we have some of the eyes, a little bit of the nose there. And that's not that big of a deal, really easy to fix, right? So all that we need to do is modify how we want this to appear. I'm going to increase the fuzziness just a touch, decrease my range a little bit. So it's really limiting that more so to the lips. Click OK. Next, we're going to go ahead and Option or Alt click on the mask here. This is showing me that what happened was it selected the lips, but it also selected the background. Let me show you that again. Hold down the Option key on a Mac, Alt key on Windows, and click on your mask icon, which shows you this black and white view. Well, here what we need to do is to clean up the rest of the mask. So we grab a brush, we paint with black at 100% opacity, and we just paint all this away. And the reason we do this is because we want to have that really nice lip selection, but we don't want to be modifying any other areas of the image. And this gives us the best of both worlds, a decent selection, which we can then modify to make even better by viewing the mask in this way. We'll go ahead and Option or Alt click that mask. Now you can see we have this layer which primarily targets the lips there, and we can change the tone. And I want to go for something a little bit darker. I'm going to bring this underneath my lips layer here because that's the highlight. Now it's that highlight that works together with the darkening, I think, really nicely. So I'll modify the overall opacity of both of these layers, just looking to mix this up so I have this really deep, vibrant color there. There you have it. Done some great work on the lips. Here's before, and then there's after. Zooming in a little bit closer so you can actually see it. Here we go. Before, and then after. Now that we've made some progress on this image, let's go ahead and merge some of our layers together just to keep the momentum going, to stay organized, stay focused. So click in the topmost layer, and then let's merge everything, all the underlying layers to the top. To do so, press Shift, Option, Command E on a Mac, Shift, Alt, Control E on Windows. Click in that top layer, and then hold down the Shift key and click in the bottom layer of the lips adjustments, and press Command or Control E, and then name this Lips. Now here what I'm doing is I'm merging and flattening just so I can have visual step-by-step what I've done. If it were an actual file, you wouldn't necessarily need to do that. You could flatten it all the way down to this layer. But it's kind of helpful, especially for demonstration purposes, to see the original file, the cleanup work, and then also some of the work that we've done on the lips. All right, well, at this juncture, the next area that I want to work on is the eyes. Now, what you work on next really is up to you, but I want to keep this momentum going. And a lot of times when you're retouching, you want to think about, okay, I've done all this detail work. All right, I want to go to the eye, or I want to go to something that's going to kind of keep me alive, keep me alert, keep me focused. So let's zoom into 100%. To do so, double-click the Zoom tool. Next, press the spacebar key and reposition so that we can see what we have here in the eyes. Well, one of the first things we need to do is to sharpen the eyes. So let's copy this top layer. Press Command-J or Control-J to do so. And let's name this Eyes-Sharp. Now, there are plenty of different techniques that you can use for sharpening, but here's one. On this layer, we'll go to our Filter pull-down menu. We'll choose Sharpen and then Smart Sharpen. And what we're going to look for here as we sharpen these eyes is we're going to really pay attention to the eye on the right. Now, the eyes aren't that sharp, so we need to almost compensate for that. We're using lens blur, so I'm going to go ahead and increase my amount and then slowly bring up my radius. Now, with a smaller radius, you're going to have less glow, and the higher the radius, you're going to have more of that glow. Yeah, we really want to focus in on the eye itself. And if we press the P key, you can see the before and after. This eye is out of focus. It really doesn't matter too much in regards to its sharpening. This is the one that we need to make snap. Here at this high of an amount, over-exaggerated sharpening, this will work well. Click OK. Here's why. What you're going to do is hold down the Option key on a Mac, Alt key on Windows, then click on the Add Layer Mask icon. Next, grab your brush tool and paint with white with a pretty high percentage here. And then go ahead and with a nice small brush, move your brush from the center of the eye out. And I'm just going to sharpen up the little details here in the eye. You want to stay away from the catch lights because that will be a dead giveaway that you're over sharpening the image. And this should be pretty subtle. Here's before and after. If I zoom in even more, maybe you can see it better. Before and then after, really just bringing out all those nice little details. All right, well, now that we have successfully sharpened the eyes, the next thing that we want to do is work on their overall color and tone, and we'll do that in the next movie.